Hello, everybody.
Oh, fucking
I just stacked my arm off the
you
chair.
can see. Hey guys, and welcome back to the newest episode of Girls Plus Club Poddy with your hosts, Rosie Breen and
Henry Ridgers.
welcome back. We
Sorry.
I almost headbutted them.
Henry Styles it. Thank you.
Henry Styles it. You're out the closet.
That's it.
Oh, that's actually a really good pun. Out the closet, because
Oh, nice. Yeah, because of clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Is that why you're wearing something colourful today? You don't normally wear such colour. Oh my god, the two of us.
Just chucked
We're
it
like,
on.
if this was green, we'd be like Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, do you remember we
Oh
saw,
my God.
we went to a barbecue and the two guys had
Oh, yeah.
Rick and Oscar had the Fairly Odd Parent t-shirts on,
Fairly
didn't
Odd Parents.
they? Quality programme.
So, how have you been?
Not great.
Oh, why?
I'm poorly. I got poorly back.
Oh, your back's really bad, yeah.
I've just been, my sleeping pattern's been awful, and that just has such a big effect on everything else.
Yeah.
Such a knock on, and you don't really notice it. Like if you're not getting enough sleep, you're like, oh, I'm tired, but you don't really think, oh, because I'm tired, I'm now cranky, short patience. Like brain literally doesn't work the same.
Yeah.
But you're just like, oh, I'm tired. That's what it is. But it actually knocks onto everything, and
I think it impacts like every other aspect of your life, doesn't it? Like you get more tired when you're out with your friends now and you want to come home earlier. You fall asleep when you're at your friend's house sometimes.
most of the time,
Yeah. You just can't. It's almost like you have to consciously push yourself to be like present in the moment because you're so tired that you're just not there.
It's weird. Yeah, I've never felt like this before. It's very like you feel like a passenger.
Yeah.
Like just
what, of your own life?
Yeah.
Like of your body?
Just like coasting, like, it's just weird. It's a weird sensation. It feels not great.
I feel like not many people talk about the fact that under 30 or even under 40, like dealing with things like a really bad back or a really bad knee, a really bad hip, there's this added side to it where you're like, fucking hell, like I'm so young and this is happening. Like what's the rest of my life actually going to look like?
I feel like when you're like under 20, you can literally like
bounce back.
You're like a toddler. You literally bounce back up onto your feet and you're fine.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I know at work and stuff all have like an ailment. Someone's got a dodgy shoulder. Yeah. Someone's knees do this. Oh, I
do worry about you working in a trade because physically it's so labour intensive on your body that you get to an age where like it's not good for your dad, is it?
Yeah, but if on the flip side of that though, if he stopped and didn't do physical labour now, he would literally he'd
seize up.
Yeah.
But that's because he's not got good habits in the rest of his life. That wouldn't happen if he had better habits the rest of his life.
Yeah, I think it would, because your body gets used to doing this amount of exercise for this amount of time.
Well, I don't think your body...
The same with your brain.
If that's actually how you think and how you feel, then why are you still doing it? Because you're way before that, before getting to the point where if you stopped, you'd seize up.
No, because I outside of working, I go to the gym.
Yeah.
I do stretches.
That's what I mean, though. It's the outside of the stuff. You have good habits outside. That's what I'm saying. If your dad had them from a young age too.
Yeah, but that's a generational thing, right?
Yeah, that's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah. I'm not quitting my job. Well, I am if my Instagram pops off.
Oh, stop. Would you actually?
I'd love to, mate.
Would you actually? I fucking did, didn't I?
You did it, mate.
Yeah. No, it's so good.
Great inspiration.
It just changes your life I know that this sounds so, I don't know, I just don't want to annoy anyone by saying this, but it's not the money. It's not the money that changes your life, but it's what the money can give you. So for me, it's the time and the freedom. And it's now the freedom to sit down and actually think about what it is that I want in life.
It's like the lifestyle change, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just feel like I look at life a little bit differently now, because when I was working in my old medical place, it was 9 to 5 and it was, okay, got my end of year review, hoping for a promotion at the end of the year, and then I'm going to do this. When I look back, I'm like, wow, I was so boxed up into only progressing by so much within certain time frames. Whereas in the last year alone, like I've given myself like 5 promotions unofficially because so much has changed and so much has grown so quickly, and I'm adapting to it and it's doing really well. That's almost like for me, I consider that like a promotion in my head, because I'm like, that's a really good achievement. So this is technically what you would have classified as a promotion before, and it's one step ahead, it's one step more. And I guess that's just for me because of the way that I think. But for me, what the job has done is shown me that you don't need to stick to these structured, okay, I've got my coursework done and now I'm going to qualify. Now that I qualify, I get an extra 20 quid an hour and now that's me for the rest of my life. No, it doesn't have to be that way at all. Like, you can half do your job, half do private jobs, half do this, half do that. Like, I just think that there's so much more value in our time than what I used to believe. But in saying that, I definitely was so much happier working a 9 to 5 and being able to close my laptop at the end of the day and not bring it home, whereas I don't have that anymore. And it's something that, like, I'm really working through. Oh, I told you guys, didn't I, that I got a new therapist? I'm really working through therapy with now, because I literally can't switch off sometimes, and I find that really hard. And so yeah, there's huge positives, but there are also some major negatives.
Yeah, like a positive of working for like a bigger company and just being like, get your 6-week review, promotion and that.
Hitting those targets.
It's like, it's very bitty and like small in that part, but like you said, if something goes wrong or if you don't hit those targets, there's no like...
Yeah, go on, I was going to interrupt them, but you...
There's like no repercussion from it. Like, so say you don't get promoted, you don't get sacked, you just stay where you are. Yeah. And if you mess up at work and, this has cost someone 3 weeks delay on this, or it's cost someone X amount of money, then you get taken to a meeting room and it's like, that was bad, don't do that. We
need to analyse the situation. So
make sure this doesn't happen again. Yeah. But anyway, what do you want to do for lunch? Whereas like, if you do that now... Yeah. You have all the stress of like being that one-man band.
Oh, definitely. And the responsibility totally falls on you. And I think that's the biggest difference when you're working for someone else. And there are huge perks and like positives for working for someone else. But when you work for someone else, you can just... You can go on holiday and switch off. That's what I was going to interrupt you to say.
You can go on holiday
and switch off. I can go on holiday and switch off, but I have to...
You have to really, actively,
like months in advance, prepare for that. And also to the point where I don't want, and I hate that this happens, and it's just like, it's everybody in every job, but if you decide to take a week's holiday, I feel like you work double time the week before so that you can take that holiday.
You definitely, the week before you work extra so that it's like less workload, and then the week that you come back you're catching up, which basically means like hammering work, doesn't it?
Exactly. I feel like it's not just special to being a content creator as well. I think it's just general. When you're self-employed, you feel that sense of responsibility, and you feel that sense of like, I have to do everything, because if I don't do it, no one else does. And you can't always outsource someone to do stuff or to pick things up while you're away, because, well, it depends on the nature, I guess. Because if you're doing that, you never are going to be totally satisfied that they've done it to how you would have done it. And so you end up just like, I don't know, I feel like I micromanage and like watch over people doing stuff.
You could do like, you can have the same job, but whether you're self-employed or work for a company, like your perspective on everything is so different, and that obviously over time changes.
Yeah.
Like if you work for a big company, ideally you want to be the last person to arrive in the morning, the first person to go home.
If you're working for someone else.
Yeah, because you're going to get paid. Oh, you're 5 minutes late. Sorry, the bus, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I've got to shoot off because I've got the doctors. Like, and you have no repercussion of that. Whereas if you're self-employed, you think, well, I'm going to start early today because I'm going to get everything done. And then it gets to the end of the day and you're like, I can get ahead. So it's just constant like burning at both ends, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Which comes back to the holiday thing that you're on about. You can't really, you can let it go, but you know, like if you're on holiday and you're relaxing, whatever's building up or happening is going to have to get addressed at some point.
Yeah.
So it's whether you do a little bit now or you do loads when you get back from your holiday.
And the other thing with holidays for me in particular, like as a content creator, is that holidays are like such a luxury thing to do. They're such a sweet spot because I really enjoy creating content and what I do in that sense. So when I'm on holiday, why would I not want to sit and do it when I'm in literally the perfect environment to create content? So I don't stop myself from doing it if I fancy it, but I also don't force myself to do it anymore. I definitely did for the first couple of holidays. I was like, these aren't holidays, these are working trips, but just abroad.
Yeah.
But I did do that when I went to Barcelona, and honestly, the girl that I went with, I think it drove her crazy. That I was like, no, I'm not here for a holiday. I'm here to actually work, but I just wanted like a change of scenery, which again, actually is just a normal thing to do if whatever digital job you have that you can work remotely. But yeah, I think it's definitely a balance of everything, which we always like. I always hear people say like, you just need to find your balance. You can find your balance, and it's true, and we will find it. We'll get there. I say we. I'm talking about like people who are like me, but finding an actual balance is so much harder in life than what it's kind of just. It's like a throwaway comment at this stage, like, oh, you'll find your balance. We just got to find balance between it all. Oh, there's a sweet spot. We'll find our balance. How do you actually find balance between everything, between work, between life, between relaxing, between like staying on top of your skincare, staying on top of your nails, like getting enough sleep, spending time with your friends? Like, it's exhausting. Trying to just like keep up with it.
It's hard as well, because when people talk about balance, I don't know about you, but I just see that as a seesaw. So I see two sides, like A and B.
Yeah.
And it's balance those.
But balance those, but there's actually like.
But when you talk about that job, it looks like a clock face, and you've got to balance each and every one to keep like the ball in the middle. You know what I mean?
And it's constantly moving.
But as long as you address one of those seesaws, as long as you balance one, that's all you can do is balance one at a time, right?
It's true, but it's definitely tough. I think back to that episode I did with Becky, and I talked about focusing on what fills my cup. She introduced me to that saying, and I've literally used it ever since. That really helps me to like visually imagine how I can balance a situation. Like, I've talked so much about wanting to take a slower life and just being a bit like calmer and just chilling out and slowing down a lot more in 2024, but that's because the last couple of years were so crazy, to the point where they were amazing, but they were crazy to the point where if I sat at the end of the year, I couldn't, if I had named 5 things that I thought were amazing that last year, I would have named 5 things. It would have been hard to think of them, but also there would have been 100 other things I just did not remember because everything was so good, but it was so bang, 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 and I just never had those moments to rest and really just like take in the way that I'm living, take in what's going on, and just like process the good times, the bad times, everything. You're just going 100 miles an hour, literally. So this year I just want to really relax,
find your balance.
Find my balance. My balance right now, and what's going to fill my cup right now, is spending more time at home, is spending time with you, spending time with Billy, relaxing. And do you know what, like I said, I love creating content, but I also want to create like slower paced content. I hate feeling like I have to post like 7 times a week on Instagram, and like, don't get me wrong, I still do it, I still post a lot on Instagram, but I like talking on my stories just like in the moment there and then, sharing what's going on, what I'm doing, taking a pretty picture, whatever. But I also really like the idea of once a week hopping on the mic and doing the podcast and just like catching up and doing the same on YouTube, and just like taking it slower in that sense, because I don't feel that rat race rush to constantly get content out, so I can constantly grow on Instagram, so I can constantly, go viral. Like, it's happened a few times now, and it's just not all that's cut out. You need to
like, what's the phrase? Stop and smell the flowers.
Yeah, that's literally it. That's what I want to do this year, this whole year. Stop and smell the flowers, and also stick to a fitness plan. That would be really good.
yeah. Again, going back to the self-employed, you talk so much about growing and expanding and more money and more clients and more. When actually, for a little bit, why can't we just stay where we are? Like, we're in a good spot. Let's not focus on this hyper drive to grow and change. Let's just put it in cruise control for a little bit and like enjoy where we are.
Yeah, nourish right now. Yeah, smell the flowers. Yeah. It's a journey, isn't it? I feel like we're going to spend our whole 20s talking about how we're going to find balance in our 20s.
Oh, I'm running out of time.
And then we're going to suddenly be 30. Well, you're going to be 30 this year. Suddenly be 30 and then be like, what'd you do for your 20s? Just complained about not finding balance. My whole 20s.
There's obviously no answer or formula or right way to do it, because everybody would do it. Like, that's why everyone has a different job and does different things and works different amounts, because everybody's trying to find their own balance.
Yeah. And it's also, I think it's important that we talk about finding balance and help each other, give each other ideas and share tips and stuff. But
it's really hard to talk to someone else about balance without putting your perspective of balance on it. So like you said then about going on holiday and wanting to post and stuff and wanting to edit videos.
Yeah.
Whereas I could sit there and look at you and be like, fucking hell, she's still working. I'm on holiday. My balance for me on holiday is doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to not project that onto you and be like, what are you doing? You should be relaxing.
When we were in Morocco, or where were we? But you were like, stop working. I don't think it was Morocco. I think it was somewhere else. But you were telling me like, stop working, and I was like, this doesn't feel like work to me. But I did just need to get off my phone for like a few days.
But that's like me projecting my idea of balance.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
It also did help.
I don't know what balance is for the next person.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So it's hard to talk to someone else about balance, because everyone's so different. That's why it's difficult. Because you might like speak to your mum or speak to your friend or something, and they'll be like, well, what I do is this. And you think, well, actually, no.
That wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
But sometimes having those conversations and hearing what other people say, and then your gut reaction is, oh, that's not right for me, is as valuable as having those conversations and being like, oh, I'm going to try that. That sounds like that could work.
You're still narrowing down your pathway to success.
Exactly. And so I just keep the conversations of how, not just necessarily how do I achieve balance, like what do you do to help like make yourself feel happy? And it's, you know, I think a lot of people in life, me included, if we didn't work, we wouldn't have that sense of purpose and have that sense of direction. For sure. This is for the majority of people, I think. We all need that thing that we do every single day because it keeps us going. And I think it's nice to be able to appreciate that you need that and you have that, but also understand that you need breaks from it. And yeah, what if I talk to my mum about balance? She would say something totally different to what I would say. And like there's some people I know who are self-employed, and that part of their balance is actually they understand now that forcing themselves to take even 5 days off of work and not looking at a single email or looking at a single piece of content or sale or anything stresses them out more than if they were to just do an hour every single morning. Yeah. And I totally agree with that. I totally understand that. I would feel more comfortable myself, even if I was going away for like 3 days, to do like half an hour every morning or an hour every morning. Just, I guess, a part of it is helping me with my sense of purpose, but also a part of it is just helping me feel in control that things are ticking over, and the things that aren't ticking over I'm aware of. But in saying that, when we did that unplugged retreat, and I actually locked my phone in a box for 5 days, because I kept my phone away, I gave my phone to Henry for an extra day afterwards. Do you remember? I didn't go on my phone for the next day because I was so in the flow of just like not using technology, and I loved it so much. So God knows where my balance is. One extreme to the other. Right, I didn't expect to talk about balance so much today. That was funny. I've got a couple of dilemmas. Yeah, are you ready? Shall we go into it?
Okay, let's go.
Hey, Rosie, Henry, and Billy. It's so cute when you guys address Billy. She is in the room. She's sitting over there asleep. I'll keep it short. Okay, good, because we haven't got loads of time. I'll keep it short. So my question is, do you guys find it difficult with money since there's a pay gap? I heard you say this in a different episode, and I just want to know how you guys split things up. Looking for advice because my boyfriend earns half of me. Go on, girl, love that. And I find it frustrating that I feel like I have to pay for everything, even though he's on a good wage still. Thanks in advance.
Why? Yeah. Why do you feel like you have to pay for everything?
Yeah.
He's obviously.
If he's on a good wage and
I wonder if
he literally sits there and waits for you to take your purse out and pay for things, then that's a conversation you guys need to have.
Yeah.
And if his attitude stinks, then the boy needs to go. But if he's sitting there and he's like, no, I don't expect you to pay for everything, but you have that sense of responsibility upon yourself, that's a very different conversation.
Like going out for dinner with dad every time, mate.
Yeah.
You just don't take, when you get with mum and dad, man.
You don't do it. Well, I do. You do with your parents. I do. I think it's just important to understand maybe a couple of things here. Is the onus on you because you've put it on you, or is it because he's put it on you? We have had this before, like through the transition of when I started earning just like a little bit more, it was still very 50-50. And then when I had that jump a couple of years ago, it was weird for me, if I'm being honest, because I definitely felt like I had an onus, like a responsibility, and I put it on myself to pay for more things because Like, I would rather me spend the extra tenner if the difference of you having that tenner or not was going to mean that you have to sacrifice something else. Because like the value of the tenner was, let's say for argument's sake, the value of £10 was like £100 value to you, and for me it was £1. Not Jesus, not actually £100, not that ratio, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if the value of the tenner has changed for you and it's changed for me, and it would be less stressful for me to pay, then I would pay, because you also want that person. I don't want you to be stressed out, and I want you to be comfortable and happy. But then simultaneously, you could be then reinforcing bad habits and bad expectations on the other person.
In an ideal world, when it comes to split the bill, you should like pay
like ratio.
Yeah.
I don't know, because what I like is that
then you're technically invested the same. Then it has this. You talk about the value of the £10.
Yeah.
If you do it at a ratio, then that value becomes equal for both of you. But
yeah, the value becomes equal, but actually the money that you're spending isn't. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So we have our like main bills, which we have like an agreed way of splitting. I pay slightly more, but that's because also we're living in a more expensive flat for me and out of my choice. So we kind of split it based on that as well, and our wages. But what we do with like the general stuff to help us both feel happy and help us both feel comfortable is like the weekly grocery shop, we tend to split 50-50. But if you're having quite a tight month that month, because well this month we've had to pay mortgage and rent because we didn't get some shit done in time in December, and there's been loads of delays with our solicitors. It's kind of similar to when you've got a friend that you know earns a lot more than you would never sit there and expect that friend, well I hope you wouldn't sit there and expect that friend to always pay for stuff, but naturally if your friend knows that they earn quite a lot more than you, they might just want to, because they know it will be nice. And it's, you know, it's I shown like it's one of my love languages for sure, is like buying people presents, but more so like rather than buying like physical gifts to give someone, it's kind of like taking a financial thing away from them. So like I enjoy, no, it's cool guys, I'll pick up lunch today, or I'll get this one, you get the next one, but you know they're never going to get the next one because you're not going to let them, like that kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? So I enjoy that. I think it's nice because I know it does help my friends that I have those interactions with and those exchanges. But yeah, I think really to answer your question, you just need to figure out who's putting the onus on who.
Yeah, why does it feel like this at the moment?
Yeah.
And then just speak about it, right?
Yeah. And honestly, if his attitude's really stinky and he's like, no, you earn so much more than me, I'm not paying for this, like you can pay for it, then you need to walk away. I don't care how much you love him, but that's no way to treat someone that you love. Like, it's so disrespectful. And it's also really ugly. Like, I can never be with someone that I felt would take advantage of me for any reason, obviously. But when it comes to financials, if I for a minute thought you were taking the piss, it would just, I obviously wouldn't be like, oh, fuck off, breaking up straight away. But it would make me feel some type of way. I would be like, that's disgusting.
And vice versa. Like, if I thought you were taking the piss of me, and I was like, fucking hell, like, I'm having beans on toast every day.
Or even like, if I feel like I'm a little bit conscious of it. Like if I was like constantly like flashing my money at you and pressuring you to spend more money and
come on, let's go here, let's go out for drinks, let's do that.
This. Yeah. And it's just like you're no longer on that same page.
So that's what we mean, like who's the onus on? Because that would be on the higher earner, whereas it might be on the lower earner. Because
do you know what? I feel like this does open a bigger conversation, because it's not easy finding a balance when it comes to financial indifferences in a relationship. Like, I'll admit I found it quite hard over the last couple of years, because it just changes things, and you are on a different page with some things, and it could be something small like what bars do you go to?
Yeah, where do you go for dinner?
Where do you go for dinner? Or
how often? And
even just like little things that I think when you earn a bit of money, you tend to forget. And it's really important to ground yourself and humble yourself a little bit, but just remind yourself the value of a pound. Like when you go to Sainsbury's, you're like, I'm just going to pick up lunch today, and you've ended up spending £12 because you didn't want to get what's on the meal deal, and instead you buy all these other things. And yeah, it's great, you had a lovely lunch, but the value of the pound still remains, and you can't live your life like that forever. if you work hard and you spend your money wisely, then of course you can. But if that's how you're spending your money at this stage, or I'm kind of speaking to myself, if that's how I'm spending my money at this stage, then my money's not going to last very long, because I'm going to be overspending on things that I don't need to.
It's called lifestyle creep. The more money you earn, the more money you spend, and
you become accommodated.
You don't really get better off.
Yeah, you don't.
You get a pay rise at work of like you get £5,000 pay rise at work,
but then you buy a £10,000 more expensive car.
When it comes to next year, you don't have £5,000 in a pot, do you?
No, because you spend it.
Yeah,
because you've been. Yeah, that's actually so true. So one of our solutions for finding like a balance between how we spend our money and what we spend our money on, and making sure that we're keeping things at like equal levels for each other, is like, okay, maybe I want to go to this nice restaurant and it is a little bit more expensive, so I'll cover the bill at this place. But then when we go to your place and it's a bit cheaper, then you cover the bill there.
Nando's!
Not that cheap.
Yeah, no, it's just, we've kind of struck a balance in like it's not a very structured balance.
No, it's
but I
not.
Feel like
it's a bit more of an emotional balance, I think.
I feel like
if I'm honest, guys, I'm finding it really hard to talk about this right now, because I get scared of talking about money in front of so many people, because there are so many people's opinions, but also so many people's different like lifestyles and people's different like financial capabilities. And I've been in rooms before where I've sat with people and they're so much wealthier than me, and the way they talk about money, I'm like, you're so fucking tone deaf.
Well,
you haven't got a clue. And I'm so scared. I'll never say this like this anywhere else other than here, but I'm so scared of sounding like a prick. Like, I don't want to sit here and be like, and then I go to this restaurant and then they do this, and then that's the value of $1. Like, I just feel like I sound like a dick when I'm talking about it. But what I genuinely want to say is that, yes, you're allowed to spend the money that you earn and you've worked hard for it, and that's great, but don't forget that the value of your money remains the same as what it's always been. It's just how you choose to spend it that changes, and the quantity levels of how you spend it. And I just want to keep myself grounded and never be that person that walks around tone deaf, because I've come from the other fucking spectrum where my mum and dad have been stressed about how they're going to feed us, and we don't get pocket money. Like, that didn't happen until I was 16, and that's because my uncle gave me pocket money, you know? So I just think it's important to like have that balance. I just don't want to sound like an arsehole.
I'll keep you grounded.
Anyways.
Money is just fun tokens, though, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Oh, I don't know why that stressed me out so much. I felt like I was trying to like say it perfectly and say it right for the last like 5 minutes, and then it's hard to talk about money.
You did good.
Oh, I just don't want to sound like a dick as well.
Rosie's actually using £50 notes to dry her tears.
Fuck off. Oh dear. It's not a good time to tell you guys that I booked a one-way ticket. No, not joking.
It's hard. It's hard because, money is like a taboo subject because it means so much to everybody. So people don't really want to talk about it.
Honestly, runs the world, and it's really scary.
Yeah, and it's very like gatekeepery, like to ask someone their wage is like, oh my God, are you what? I'm not telling you how much I earn. It was like, oh, well, hang on.
First time I met Henry's dad, he asked me how much money I earn, and I just looked at Henry like, what has he just asked me? And then you were like, you can tell him if you want, and I just told him. He was like, oh, fairs.
Yeah, it's not like
it was when I was at my old job.
It's not like a quiz. It's just.
It also doesn't need to be as taboo as it is, and I actually think there's so much power, especially in my industry. Especially in my industry, there's so much power in sharing numbers, and I've talked about this with so many other content creators before, where we tell each other how much we're getting paid, we tell each other what this brand's offering and what we're negotiating at, and not necessarily your yearlies, like your annual salary, which is what you would compare like 9-to-5 jobs at your annual salary, but we tell each other about payments for specific jobs, because I think within this industry, it's so important that we remain in control, and the women, because it is a female-dominated industry, one of the only ones in the world, and it's such a high-paying industry that it's so important that the women remain in control, and the people within this industry, now that, hey, we've got some guys in the industry, remain in control, so that the brand, because the other alternatives are the brands are in control and the corporations are in control of enough in this world as it is, so we should be in control of this side of it.
That's why so many people are underpaid.
Yeah, and it would be why a lot of girls actually, I'm a friend, it just kind of happens, I guess it's who you gravitate towards when you have things in common, but a lot of my friends are like micro influencers now, and they'll always come to me and I'll help them write emails, I'll help them quote stuff, and just help Emily the other day send a quote off to some skin companies, and I'll always educate them in the value of usage and the value of exclusivity and the value of so many things, so that you aren't underselling yourself. I mean, I undersold myself my first few months until I got management, and then I learned loads from my management. Anyways, we are totally digressing.
No, but you do also hear that, like you saying about helping everybody else. I know situations where we've spoken about people that we know, and they've been speaking, like we've had 2 mutual friends or family members talking about how to do this or approach this, and they've said, oh, like figure it out yourself, and like they've done the same with things that
are you on about
and they've done things that are the same, that are like financial, and it's like, oh, hang on, are we mates or are we family, or what's going on? Because
we've had that with people, and
because you helping me out now, give me advice on saying,
it doesn't take away from me,
this is what figure I went in at, this is how much I think it's worth, this is how much I'm getting paid. If you tell someone that, what they get paid doesn't come off your wage. What they get out of it, the situation, doesn't change how much you paid for it. You go back to the shop and say, well, you sold it to him for £20 less. Can I have a rebate?
Yeah.
You just help your friend out. I don't see. That's really grinds my gears, actually. Because then it's like, oh, so you're on the side of like corporation, so you don't want to help me out.
Yeah.
So if you're not with me, you're against me. Why would you not help out a friend?
Yeah.
And the same with like jobs and stuff. Oh, how much are you on? Oh, well, I'm not going to steal your money. I just want to know so that I can do your best and I can get not that I don't care how much you get, like the actual figure. It's so that I know I'm not selling myself short, or I'm not overreaching so that I don't get a job.
I hate it when people are like, I've spent all this time educating myself and learning for myself, so you need to do this. You need to do
grow
the same.
up, man.
No, I don't agree with that, because if you have spent all this time educating yourself and learning for yourself, and you've gone through some experiences which have taught you how to get to the place that you are today, how much more powerful would it be if you shared that knowledge? If you shared that knowledge with someone else? Like, if you shared that with the next person, they don't have to go through everything that you went through. And the other side, like the corporations or whoever is involved, are winning for that extra bit longer. Instead, why don't you just share how you got there, share how you did something, and then someone else can succeed. And then that has a ripple effect. And that becomes the new standard. That becomes the new standard of entry level. So then the standard of advanced level goes up and everyone just performs better. It has such a knock-on effect. And it does frustrate me so much.
How boring would all those videos be on TikTok and Instagram if it was like double it and give it to the next person? If everyone was just like, yeah, I'll take it. Yep.
Yeah, and see, when you're exposed, or when you're faced, do you know what? If that was, I think if those videos were done anonymously and they say your face is going to be blurred out in this, or the person who's on camera had like a brown bag over their head or something, if it was anonymous in some way, I guarantee so many more people would say, oh, I'll have it. But because you're exposed, you want to look charitable, or you want to look like a good person.
So that's literally the same thing, isn't it?
But on the other side of that, sorry, we're getting very negative, because on the other side of that, I think there are so many more good people in this world than we realise. Like, so many people who just walk around and just, like, almost like they're symbolically dropping a flower, like, that spread good seeds all over.
That's the problem, is
and expect nothing.
You can go from here into town or catch a train somewhere. If you smile at someone or talk to someone in a nice way, you won't talk about it. But if you come home and someone bumped into you, you bring that up straight away.
Yeah, exactly. I think there are so many more good people out there than we like. Even the other night when we were walking back from the station, this girl picked up something from Wendy's for the homeless guy that sits by the station. He just brought it to him. She just very subtly gave it to him, just said, like, stay warm tonight, and then walked away and went off. She literally got a bus home after that. I don't for any reason think that she's going to go home and start shouting about that and be like, guys, look what I did today. You don't, because you don't. Why would you? It's weird. Like, you do it because you want to and for the love of doing it rather than to tell people about it. But if she had walked up to us, barged into us, and like squared up to us or something, we would have been like confronted.
We'd have told everyone, wouldn't we, for like the next week?
I would have gone on my Instagram story and been like, "Oh my god, this crazy girl," you know. So the bad is talked about more, and we have to acknowledge that.
I want this man to be.
What?
Oh, I can't remember what the video is. She like has a go at someone who serves them in a restaurant, saying, I want this man to be working no more. Something like that. Someone will know.
Right, on that note,
yeah.
I hope you can have that conversation with your boyfriend about earnings. Just speak about the onus. Like, are you actually putting that onus on yourself or is he putting it on you? And go from there. I think it's just important to have those conversations.
Just something that needs addressing. So address it.
Guys, anytime you send a dilemma and you know the response is, just talk about
it.
Sorry, we need to actually give some better advice next time. But guys, please send your dilemmas through. We are excited to see you in another couple of weeks. Send your dilemmas through to dilemmas@girlsplusclub.com. I hope you enjoyed this episode and we'll see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.